A lot of people believe that to master a track so it sounds amazing, you need loads of outboard and all the best plugins. Well, yes, they do help, they are nice, but today I'm going to show you can get great results just with stock plugins. If you're new here, my name's Streaky. I've been a pro mastering engineer for the past 25 years, working with some of the world's leading artists. I'm here on YouTube to give you all the knowledge that I have to make your music sound insane. So inside Logic, I've set a session up. Let's listen to the track that we're going to master, and I'll show you exactly how to master it from start to finish. So in here you'll see that I've got two tracks. I have a before and an after, and I'll explain the whole reason around this as I work through the plugins that I'm using. But basically it's just a duplicated version of each other, just so that I can listen to it, but we'll go through that in a second. If you really want to improve your mastering, then definitely just stick to 3 plugins. Get a good EQ, a good compressor and a limiter. This is so you get a consistent sound every time. It also speeds things up because you know exactly how those 3 plugins sound. So as part of the setup process, we need to make sure that we've got a level meter. That way we know how loud we're getting it at the end, which is super important. So to set the level meter up, set the level to RMS, that's a measurement of loudness, and I usually aim for about -8 RMS. So you can move this level here to -8. So we're going to start with an EQ, but let's listen to the track first so we can work out in our heads what's going on, how it's sounding. So after listening to this, there is a lot of subs going on, a lot of waffle in the low end, so we need to do something about that. I also thought it was quite muffled in the lower mids, and also I just wanted to open the tops a touch, but not too much. It's quite bright, and I think once we've controlled the low end a little bit more, then that always opens up the top. A good tip for when you are EQing is always listen from the bottom to the top. It's a really easy way to get, once you've got the bottom right, the top usually falls into place. So first thing we need to do is cut some of that low sub waffle out. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So let's put a cut in. Now I've put this cut at 50 Hertz. It's quite high normally, but what I've done is I've lifted it above so that all of the bass is getting drawn up on this kind of cue, but then it's getting cut off on a slope here, as you can see. So let's listen to what that effect that has on the bass. So listening for the kick basically with your ears. So what that's done is it's tightened up that kick and it's brought the bass notes out, so it makes the groove of the track work a lot nicer. But it sounds a little bit woolly now. So what we're going to do is the next setting that I'm going to put on is a kind of setting I go to a lot for this, where if it is a little bit woolly after I've pushed the low end, at 160 you can do just a little cut, just 1 dB. I won't go any more than 1 dB, but it's quite a narrow cue. And again, if you're doing this on another track, just listen to this. It doesn't always work, but what it does, if you listen above where the bass is, it will like kind of really get that bass notes going. So let's just have a quick listen to that now on this section. So you can hear it really brings out those bass notes a lot nicer. It stops it from sounding flat in the low end, and it starts sounding a little bit tighter. Reverse that up if you want to just have another quick listen to that. So that's a really good way of getting a nice bit of shape there. But I don't also, by doing this a lot of the time, and it's happened in this track, you then lose kind of some of the chunk of the low mids. So what we're going to do, we're just going to add a little bit in, and this is at 250. Another 1 dB, so it's kind of counteracting what I've done there, but because you've still got that drop there, it's just giving you this V shape, which basically keeps all of the lows really nice, but it's still going to keep it tight because we've got the subby horrible stuff cut off, and then we've just trimmed a little bit so the bass notes come out. So let's listen to how this 240 sounds. It goes all the way up to about 800, so it really does fill the sound up. So this is quite a nice EQ setting to use. So now the sound is just really sounding chunky and tight, isn't it? It's starting to come together. But I want to bring out all those little guitar bits a little bit more because I think they sound quite good. They're quite picky. We don't want it just to be loads of low end because at the moment we've actually lifted quite a lot of the bottom. So we've kind of unbalanced the track a little bit. So to rebalance that up a little bit, your ear really picks up the most at about 1K. So at 1.5K here, we're just lifting that up a little bit by a dB. It's always small amounts when you're coming to mastering because they have a massive effect at this stage of the production. So lifting that by 1 dB is just going to pop it out into your ear, those kind of guitar notes and stuff to make it a little bit more lively, but not too much because it will really pierce your ears. But let's listen to that. So that's nice, but I feel that we just need some air in the track just to open it up a little bit. So a really good way of doing that is to go super high with a 20K, but because it's quite a wide cue, it's bringing up quite a lot. So you can see here, it's bringing it up from about 6K all the way up to 20K. We're adding 2.5 dB, so it's quite a lot, but that 2.5 is happening at 20K. So it's just going to bring all the air and the ambience of the track. So this will have been recorded in a live studio, so you're getting some of that mic room reverbs going on. So this kind of makes it sound much more natural. So let's listen to how that sounds. Just while I'm on this, a good tip for you when you are EQing is go super extreme and then back it back down so that it's like ridiculously nothing. Because what that does is it lets you hear exactly what you are doing. So I'll do that with this so we can go really super bright and then we'll come back down to balance it up. So as you can tell when I was bringing that down, you probably thought I was bringing it down too much, but it's all about subtlety with mastering. It's not about putting loads on and really colouring the sound. It's all the small details added together make a really big result. Remember, the goal of mastering is to do as little as possible. So make sure you keep that in mind with every EQ and compression that you do. So if you like this content and you want to see more content like this, make sure you hit the like button below. So on to compression. Now, compressors kind of frighten the life out of everyone. I know for the first 10 years of my career they certainly did, but they don't have to. You can set a compressor up pretty much the same way for most tracks that you master. It's usually there just for glue at this stage, just to hold the track together, any peaks that are going on, just to pull them in a little bit and just keep the track more together. We're not going smash bang with the bottom or the top like you would in a mix. We're just doing a subtle glue. So the quick way around this, especially in Logic, is go to the presets, go to compressor tools, go to VCA tight. Now this will give you a ratio of 4:1. It will give you a release time. Put that super quick. Make the attack time slower. What this does, it lets all the transients through and it gives it a really fast, tight sound. Like I said, we don't really want to stretch the sound out. We want it quick, we want it punchy, and we want it gluey. If you do want to go more into compression, as in multi-band compression and different ways of using that and a deeper dive, then I do have courses for that on my website, streaky.com. Go and check that out, link below. But let's just get in with how you can set up a basic compressor for the majority of tracks. So the main thing you need to worry about is the 4:1 ratio, quick release, slow attack, and then the threshold. The threshold is where it's going to grab the sound to sort of crush it down a little bit. So we just want to tickle it. If you see the meters moving too much, in mastering, that's a no-go. You want it kind of just moving a touch. If they move too much, you're doing too much. So start with the threshold at 0. Then as the track's playing, bring the threshold up until you see the needle start to move. I'll do it now so you can see exactly how it's done. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I can't hear much of what that's doing. As I said earlier, it's all about subtleties, and this is about getting a bit of the colour and the sound and the glue of the compressor. We're not pushing it together, we still want dynamics in the track. We are compressing against the whole track, not just individual instruments. So keep that in mind. Again, keep it subtle. So next up is the all-important limiter. Now the limiter's there to get the level up so that we can get it as loud as we want to go. Now as you know, earlier on I said on the meter I want to be getting to about -8 RMS. So what we're going to do, we're going to keep the meter up and we're going to just move the gain of the limiter up until we get to the point where it's getting to -8. We're obviously going to keep an ear on it because we want to make sure it's not sucking the life out of the track, but it should be alright at this level. So to do this, we want to go to the loudest part of the song. That way we can get it right so that it'll have some drops in the bits that aren't as loud and we can keep some really good dynamics in the track. So I can hear that that's starting to suck a little bit as I'm drawing towards 8. So we're at 8.5, more than enough. But what I can hear there also is I've got a little bit too much low end on because as I'm pushing in, it's taking away some of the energy. So I'm just going to bring that down a little bit and then listen again. So most people would say they're finished at this point, but you're not finished because how do we know whether what we've done is any good? Yes, okay, I've made judgments on the EQ, I've done a nice bit of compression and I've got the level up to -8. All good, ticking loads of boxes. But what we haven't done is compare to the before to see if we're actually ruining the track or if what we've done is really good. Now you'll remember at the start I had 2 tracks going on, so I've got a before and an after, which is just a copy of each other. This is where it comes into play because there's no point in just going in and turning all your plugins off. You need to be able to switch between the two and then be able to hear exactly how it's going. What I want to do is, I know on the limiter I've added 7 dBs of gain. So what I want to do is take away that 7 dBs from the after so that when I'm listening to the before and after, they're at roughly the same level so I can hear the EQ changes and what I've done and is that better. So let's do that. So now I'm going to solo and mute between the two so I can hear the before and after, and then I can then decide if I need to do any other adjustments before I then print the track and send it to the client. So there you go, we've just mastered a track with 3 stock plugins. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next one.